You don't have it? All right, here, let me do it.
The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
All right, Matt, I appreciate that. Good morning, everybody. Thanks for joining us for another Thursday webinar on maximizing your ShoreTel investment. My name is Jeff Zysek, and again, along with Matt and I, we're going to be your presenters today, going over the ShoreTel Communicator side of things. So we're going to go ahead and just get started, and hope you guys enjoy the content. Today's agenda, we're going to be, again, welcome to everybody, give you a quick update on what's going on here at Vertex. We are going to briefly, again, talk about ShoreTel 14.2 and what's new there. Then we're going to go ahead and turn it over to Matt for some communicator tips and tricks. And then at the end of the webinar, we will have a brief question and answer session. If you have any questions during the webinar, please make sure you put them into either the chat or question window on your control panel there for the webinar itself. We will go ahead and answer those as we can. And then we'll also update you on the next webinar, which, again, I'll just go ahead and briefly tell you, it's going to be 2 weeks from today, which will be July 17th, again, at 10 a.m. And at that time, we'll be covering ShoreTel administrator type functions in the Shoreware Director. So Vertex Consulting, one of the things that we pride ourselves on here at Vertex is our customer service, and we were recently awarded ShoreTel's World Class Customer Service Award May 8th, 2014. That marked the 26th consecutive quarter in which we have been world-class customer service with ShoreTel. ShoreTel 14.2 did come out a few months ago. We are still continuing to roll that out to our existing clients. Those that are on 13, we are working to get you onto 14. We are already making sure that we're checking all the servers to make sure that they are prepared to handle 14.2, as there were some changes in the requirements. We are still currently looking for 2 people here in the Ocala office, a couple of network engineers. If you know of anybody that might be looking for a role such as that for phone and network engineering, we would love to talk to them, see if we would go ahead and bring them on board here. As far as a quick reminder on the way to get your quickest support here at Vertex, if you have an urgent matter and it is causing you a business hardship, please call us immediately, either by our main phone number, the 352-401-0909, and choose the option for either technical support or hard down. The other way is our toll-free number is 877-837-8357. And again, same options, either technical support or hard down. If you have an issue that you can just go ahead and wait for either a few hours or a day or two to go ahead and get it done, send an email to help@vertex.com. That will immediately create a ticket in our help system. You will get notification back of that, and you will be contacted shortly by one of our service desk coordinators to make sure that we get that scheduled for you. And again, finally, you have June 19th on here. Wrong date. Webinar on next Thursday. It's Thursday, actually July 17th. Excuse the date there. I have the wrong date on there. It's July 17th, not June 19th. I do apologize. So thinking about Vertex, you obviously know we all do ShoreTel here, but the question is, or maybe you don't know, is what else does Vertex do? We are a full-service IT company, so we are there to help you in a myriad of ways. We can either be a outsourced IT company for you, do it on a project-by-project basis. We can pair up with you and be a teammate with you and work on either certain pieces of your IT business, or if you want to just go ahead and let us do a couple different things or run your whole IT shop, depending on where you're at, we'd be happy to do that as well. But some of the different things that we offer, disaster recovery is a big deal right now, especially with hurricane season here upon us. As you know, obviously we have Hurricane Arthur out there on the Atlantic coast. Quorum disaster recovery option is a fantastic solution out there. We also do virtualization with VMware, video conferencing with LifeSize and Video, and we also have Wi-Fi, BlueSocket, Office 365, and XIO SAN storage, just to name a few. If you have any questions or just want some referrals to different products or have some concerns about what you might be looking at buying, go ahead and give us a call. We'd be happy to help you out. Some of the Q3 offerings that we have here for you, free disaster recovery assessment. Again, we just mentioned hurricane season is upon us. Let us take a look at your network and see what you have on there and estimate whether you're ready for hurricane season. As we know, NOAA said that there's a 75% chance that Florida will take a direct hit sometime this hurricane season. So make sure that you're ready for that. Make sure you're prepared for that. make sure that your business stays up and running. Security assessment, let us go ahead and take a look and see how your security is on your network. Make sure that you're protecting yourself from all those viruses, especially things like the crypto locker and heartbleed viruses that were out there that have made the news big time. And finally, optimization service. By that we mean, when was the last time you reviewed your voice and data bills? If it's been more than a year or two, you may want to take another look, as prices are currently in flux, and we can possibly save you a bunch of money on your service for your phone, voice, and data in your business. A little bit of talk about as far as what's going on with the ShoreTel Dex phone. I don't believe this is currently an option. I do apologize. I think that just ended a couple of days ago. I don't believe that's been extended, so I do have to check on that and see. So I'm going to go ahead and pass on the buy one, get one. But the wireless deck phone, if you are not aware that that is available now, it's an awesome, awesome phone. It's like having a ShoreTel. If you're on 13, you may have a 230 phone. It's like having a 230 in your pocket. If you're on the 4 series, a 420 phone, it's a dual-line phone with all the transfer conference capabilities of your standard desk phone, but on a wireless model. It's a fantastic phone, and you can actually cover quite a bit of square footage with just a single base and a single phone. But you can also put up to 4 handsets per base. So fantastic wireless offering from the ShoreTel for that. The new 400 series phones, the IP480, by the way, just dropped in price. It's now the same price as a 230 phone. So if you do upgrade to 14.2, you do have to have 14.2 for this. You can actually get the 480 phone to, instead of the 230 if you wish. And you can see it's the middle phone in that series of phones on the right. That is the 480. Right above that's the 420, and the bottom phone is the 485. So something to keep in mind there. Along the bottom of the screen, if you're on a 200 series phone, you have 4 soft keys. The 400 series phones have 5. And again, available with ShoreTel 14.1, and you do get more line appearances than you did previously. Now, ShoreTel 14.2, there's some fantastic updates that have happened in 14.2, and the name of the game right now is virtualization, but there have also been some changes as to what OSs are currently supported for 14.2. Windows Server 2008, Service Pack 2, Standard and Enterprise, 2008 R2, Service Pack 1, Standard and Enterprise, Windows Server 2012 are all supported, along with Internet Explorer 10 and 11. The biggest change, if you have any XP machines at all, that is no longer supported in ShoreTel 14. So if you want to go to 14, you need to make sure that all of your XP machines have been upgraded to at least Windows 7. We really recommend Windows 7 or above prior to upgrading. Your XP machines will not be supported. Like I said before, virtualization is the name of the game. You can now have new virtual appliances, provide you some more flexibility to use either physical hardware, virtual appliances, or a mixture of both. It allows you to get redundancy without having to buy the additional hardware. So virtual appliances, you've got the IP phone switch or a spare switch is now free, instead of having to buy that hardware for that N+1 redundancy. The virtual SIP trunk switch is available as well. Virtual service appliance, this is a pretty big deal. You get now with the virtual service appliance in a VM environment. You have to be running a VM environment. You can actually have free instant messaging throughout your organization without having to buy what is previously known as the ShoreTel SA100 or SA400 conference bridge. You can now virtualize those appliances and have instant messaging throughout. If you want to have your conferencing capability and run your conference, voice conferences or web conferences through those, all you need to do at that point is buy the license packs, no longer having to buy the hardware. And also the virtual in-gate separator. You do get virtual images. They are installed as a VMware and installed as an OVA file. And then again, virtual IP phone, SIP trunk, VSAs, or installation files as part of the Shoreware director. So just kind of keep those in mind if you want to go, again, N+1, get some additional redundancy, and you are in a VMware environment. Version 14 offers those at no additional charge for the hardware virtualization. Just a quick summary of what the virtual switches are. The phone switch can support up to 1,000 IP phones. There's 3 different flavors in there. There's 250, 500, and 1,000. Again, you can get licensing per extension. So if you have this as your N+1 redundancy switch and it does fail over, you have 45 days to get the other switch taken care of and move everything back. There's no charge for the licensing that's on there. The only time you have to get the licensing charge is if you are using that as your primary switch. So just kind of keep that in mind. The virtual spare phone switch N+1, no license, so it is totally free for that. SIP trunk switch supports up to 500 SIP trunks with media proxy. No additional licensing for that as well. And then again, the service appliance supports all existing audio and web IM features as the physical service appliance or Conference Bridge SA100 and SA400. Same capacity as before, maximum of 500 service appliances per system, and up to 200 audio and 200 web and 2,000 IM clients per virtual SA. And again, no change in the licensing structure for those. Now I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Matt Nye, and he's going to go through ShoreTel Communicator tips and tricks. If you have any questions, again, please make sure to keep in mind and put those in either the chat or question window, and we'll answer those as we can go along. So Matt, take it away, sir.
Thanks, Jeff. Appreciate all that good information. I hope everybody is ready for the long weekend here. I know I am. And the goal for today is to walk you through Communicator and basically touch on some of the things that are frequently asked questions and dubs that come up during training and after we do these system deployments. So the first thing I want to recap, and you may already be aware of this, but it frequently comes up because desktop real estate is limited, is the way you can adjust the view in Communicator. So I'm very fortunate on my desktop PC. I have 3 big screen monitors, so I've got plenty of room to spread out. But today, of course, I'm working on my notebook here to do this presentation. I've got one screen, so if I needed to tighten up the area that Communicator is using, I've got some options here. I can dock it over to the right, and you'll see it'll put it over to the right. And then, of course, the windows I open will butt up next to it. So you can see I've got a compressed view there on the right. And then if I need to, of course, you can go dock it to the left, dock it to the bottom. But if I'm really tight on space, I can do this cute little miniature view, which is here. And it'll be teeny tiny, and of course I can move that around. You'll notice, regardless of how I size it, you've got the crucial stuff here. So you can see the call. I'm connected to the GoToWebinar service here. I've got all my options to, hold transfer, all the usual stuff. And then, of course, up here I've got my call handling mode, I'm in a meeting, my IM status, and so forth. So even in miniature view, you've got everything you need, all the critical pieces at your disposal. I'm going to go ahead and put us back in normal mode so we can see a little better what we're doing. The other thing you can do, and this is inside, so that was, we can move Communicator around on your desktop, but you can also modify how you want the windows to appear within Communicator. So I'm going to go to the options screen here, and there's a checkbox to enable drag and drop window configuration. And I believe it is under customization. And I thought it was. Here it is. Enable drag and drop window arrangement right here, second one down. So if I click that and then click OK, that's going to allow me to actually change the way these tabs appear. You see here at the bottom I've got my contacts, voicemail, call details. If I want to, I can click and drag the voicemail, and see it gives me an option. I can dock it over to the right. I guess it didn't like that. But you get the point. You can create windows within the Communicator, so you can totally, customize this as well. And then, of course, if you want to put them back into the regular tab mode, you just drag them to the bottom and let go, and it'll snap them back into place there. So I'll go ahead and put this back. All right, so those are your view options within Communicator. Another question that frequently comes up after we configure a system is how do we change the extension assignment if I want to add additional phones or modify my call routing. That's all done under options. And you can see the very first screen that comes up here is the My Phone screen. So basically they give you a field that's already pre-labeled for your mobile phone number. You can plug in your home number. You see here the next option, these others are all custom. You can change those labels to whatever you want. So if you were working out of a hotel for a week or something, you could change this to the hotel, and if you had a direct dial number there, you could plug that in. Basically, once you get these configured, you can go to incoming call routing, and this is where you're going to make all your changes. So you can see here for my phone, it's set to ring my primary handset, which is an IP560. I've also got it set to simultaneously ring my mobility extension. So basically, if you call me, it's going to ring the desktop handset and my mobility. Now, you can also ring a third number if you want, and the only caveat that I'll give you here is if you turn on this simultaneous ring for multiple phones, when you plug in this second and third phone for it to ring, it's actually having to grab an outside line to make each of those calls. So if you're in an office where you've got a limited number of trunks, to the carrier, you want to be careful with your users when you're setting this up. So if you've only got 23 channels on your PRI and you've got 60 users and every single user sets it up to call, 2 other phones at the same time it's dialing the desktop, you might run into a situation where you run out of trunks on your PRI, so be careful with that. You also see here we've got the Find Me configuration. This is somewhat obsolete because of the Ring Additional Phones feature, but where this comes in handy is in the situation I just described. If you did have a limited number of trunks, you could utilize the Find Me, and that will kind of give you the same effect, but it greatly reduces the trunk utilization. So that's a possibility there. So let's talk about call handling modes. Again, this is pretty basic stuff in the ShoreTel system. We've got a total of 5 call handling modes. I do want to give you a practical example of how this can be used for call coverage. So normally, in our my standard call handling mode, it's going to ring. You can see here, it's going to go to my voicemail after 3 rings. That is set somewhat low because my cell phone seems to pick up, the voicemail on the cell phone seems to pick up kind of early, and I don't want the voicemail on my cell phone. I want it on my ShoreTel, so you've got to make sure that you set this to ring less number of times than your cell phone, before your cell phone voicemail picks up. You'll also notice here, this is a very handy feature. We use it quite a bit in larger organizations, or especially like attorney offices. You'll see here when caller presses 0, we can transfer the call to somebody else other than the main receptionist. So if somebody calls in, they get my voicemail and they don't want voicemail, they can hit 0, and instead of going back out to Jennifer at the front desk, this is actually going to ring the entire sales hunt group. So it'll ring my coworkers, and they can take that call, as opposed to the person leaving voicemail or having to go to Jennifer and then her having to transfer it back to another salesperson. So those are some options there. The big thing, though, this is where we get the question always comes up. If I'm going to lunch or something like that and I want to have my phone forward to somebody else, this is where you would do that. You would go into standard and you would basically change your destination, and you could just say, after 1 ring or no rings, I wanted to go to Jeff, and I could just plug in his name. That's pulling all of my Outlook contacts. We're going to talk about that in a minute. Oops. Where are you, Jeff? 1466?
1477.
70.
That's the conference room.
There you go. So that's all you would do right there is you just plug in forward the calls to Jeff. And this, as you can see, this is very easily changed. I'm just going to cancel that so it doesn't get saved. Last thing I want to show you in here is for each call handling mode, you can customize the call handling note, right? So this call handling note for standard, I've just plugged in this, I'm in the office and working hard, and I'll back out of this, and when I highlight, you'll see here when I roll over my status, actually this one says, because I'm in a meeting mode, it's showing my status as I'm doing a ShoreTel webinar. So that's an additional note for presence. That comes in especially handy. You'll notice here Don's real good about plugging in his call handling notes. So he's on vacation until Monday, but a lot of times, when I need to get a hold of him, I can check his presence, and he'll actually have in there, I'm on client meetings in Tampa, call my cell or whatever. So that's just extra helpful stuff if you didn't know about that. Another thing you can do is while we're on that topic, you can also set an IM presence status note as well. So same concept where you're instant messaging, but it's managed from a different place. And I do not know why that is taking so long. I guess it's going to pop up here at some point. I'll just keep going. Another thing I want to show you, and this is everything I've showed you so far is included in the personal communicator which is the free version that every user gets. We do have, if you've got the Pro version, it's not going to let me show it to you until the IM thing does its...
It blinked. I think you can close the box up if you wanted to.
Do you see the...
You have your
it's not letting me click on
on
it.
the left.
Oh, it's under the... okay. The GoToWebinar question box was completely covered up. I didn't see the window. There we go. All right. So one of the things we have in the Pro Communicator is this cool advanced call routing, which is personalized call handling, if you will. So if you're familiar with Outlook rules where you can customize the behavior that happens when emails come in, you can say, okay, if this email is from a certain person, I want to move it to a particular folder. This is the same concept except with your calls. So basically, you can see here I've already created a rule. I did this last time as a demonstration. Created a new rule. If it's an inbound call from Don, I can have it play a different ringtone than my phone is normally set to. So when Don calls, it plays ringtone 2 instead of the regular ringtone 1. And of course, you can, there's a whole, just like Outlook, there's a bunch of things you can do. So you can say if I'm on the phone, I want this to happen, if it's a certain time of day or week, if it's a particular DNS number, and this, some of this actually we can do, or we do with work groups and contact center, but the personalized call handling gives you the ability to do it inside a Communicator without either of those products. But very, very, very handy stuff if you've got the Pro license, and that's $80 per user list, and then of course you'd be discounted at your normal discount. All right, so let's go into voicemail real quick. One thing that you may be aware of, you can record, you can do ad hoc recording with the ShoreTel out of the box if you have permission. You can see here I've got a slew. I'm the world's worst about voicemail. I squirrel them away forever. So I've got a slew of voicemails here. And if we scroll over, you're going to see that the default name for these is just voicemail, right? Voice message. So let's say that Jeff called and there was something specific about a client or a deal. I could plug in an actual description. Mark's gray notes, that's a installation we just completed. So you can actually change the subject there, and that enables you, instead of, you could search basically for that title that you changed it to. And again, same thing, if you've got the ability to do recording, and let me see if I can throw on one of our admin webinars, we created a toolbar for recording, right? So I've got the record permission. This is the exact same concept. So if I'm on the phone, I click the record button. I can record up to an hour's worth of conversation, and when it's done, it drops it into my voicemail box, and then I could name it whatever I need to name it, and then of course I can export it to a WAV file just like you do a regular voicemail. You'll see here, export to a WAV file. While I'm on that topic, because this does come up during training, if you save your voicemail, you'll notice here inside the voicemail window, we've got the inbox, and then we have a saved folder, and we have a deleted folder. And of course, things aren't really gone. It's just like Windows. It's not gone until you empty the deleted folder, right? You got to empty trash. Now, you can put things in the saved folder, but the warning I give everybody is even though you've saved it here in the Communicator, that doesn't mean you're safe. And what I mean by that is when you delete something from Communicator, when you delete a voicemail or a recording from inside Communicator, it's gone forever. We can't get it back. ShoreTel can't get it back. It's gone. The reason is they deal with a lot of government clients that need to know when something's been deleted, it's actually gone, because they're subject to Freedom of Information Act requests or 119 laws here in Florida. So that's why when you delete something here, it's gone. Now, the reason I told you, even though you put it in the saved folder, you're not necessarily safe, is that the administrator of the ShoreTel system can set up a rule to run nightly, weekly, monthly, quarterly, whatever. So if they have people like me that store a bunch of crap in their voicemail, they can have it run on a weekly basis, and they could actually purge everything in my saved items folder. So even though I think I saved it, they can wipe it out. So that's why I always tell everybody, if you've got something, a voicemail or a recording that you absolutely must save and you need to know you can go back to it, you're going to want to right-click and export it to a WAV file. So you right-click, export to a WAV file, and save it wherever you're going to save it. All right, so that's your warning there for voicemail. So let's talk about the toolbars here. I think I've got a couple already set up. We can create custom toolbars on the back end. That's through Director. And basically you've got, we've created this workgroup toolbar. But basically you're going to use the view. Once you assign that custom toolbar, it'll pop up in this list. You can see here I've created multiple, webinar tests too, and those are all just reward buttons. So that's how you'll view those. I'm going to go ahead and deselect, kind of get rid of some of the clutter. You see they go away. All right. Last thing I want to talk about is Outlook integration. We've got 3 types of Outlook integration. The first is the contacts, and as I showed you earlier, if I start typing in Jeff, it's going to pull all of the Jeffs in my Outlook contacts, and you can see there's a bunch of them, right? So all I've got to do on any of these is click the dial. I'm sure you guys are probably familiar with that. That's one of the pieces of the Outlook integration. The next one is the notification of voicemail, and there's 2 things here. It's a little bit tricky, and this came up in the last deployment we did. A question came up after we had completed the deployment, and that is there are 2 different things you can do here. Under Options and Outlook, there is this voicemail integration is installed, okay? If you install that and do nothing else, when you get a new voicemail, it's going to look like this. So you'll see here before we started, I had Jeff leave me a voicemail. Oops, a little too far there. And you'll notice because I made that change in the subject line, it's passed that through. So this is basically a link, if you will, to the Communicator voicemail tab. That's the easiest way to think of it, is this is a remote of that tab on the Communicator software. And basically it's a custom Outlook form. It's got a play button. I can tell it I want to play on my telephone or my speakers, just like inside of Communicator. And if I were to click play right now, it would actually put you guys on hold and play this voicemail for me on my second line. Obviously, I'm not going to do that. But the main thing I want to drive home here is with this Outlook integration piece installed, if I delete this from Outlook, it's going to delete it from Communicator, if it would decide to delete there. Now this is different. The reason I bring that up is it's a little different than the email notification, they call it. Oops, I left open my options here. Let me close out of this. That might be the problem. Let's try that. Okay. So now you'll notice that voicemail from Jeff, because I deleted it from the Outlook interface and it's linked to the Communicator, it's deleted here. So that was a question that came up after our last deployment was, hey, our users are deleting the emails in Outlook. We didn't think that deleted the voicemail in Communicator. So if you don't want that to happen, what you'll do is uninstall the Outlook integration, and instead you're going to use down here under voicemail, you're going to use this notification delivery option. So here you have 2 options. You can either send an email notification or you can attach the WAV file. Okay? So the email notification looks like this, and this is the email notification I got when Jeff left that voice message before we started. And it just tells you you've got a voicemail and the length and the size, okay, and who it came from. So that's one option. if I had checked the other one to include the WAV file, it would actually embed the WAV file in the email. Now, the reason that's important is because previously the Outlook integration I showed you with that play button, if you forward that outside your network, it's not going to work for that person because they can't get to your ShoreTel server from outside your network. So if you need to be able to forward a voicemail to somebody outside the network, you're going to embed it as a WAV file and do it that way. And of course, this, forwarding to somebody else is basically useless because it's just a notice, so you're never going to do that. But those are your options there with the Outlook integration. So you've got Outlook integration where it ties to Communicator, or you've got this email notification or email WAV file. And I'm sorry, the main point I was trying to drive home there was if I don't, or excuse me, even if I do delete this, so let's say I delete that notification, it has no impact on the voicemail in Communicator. So that's a clarification there. Last thing I want to show you is our calendar and conference integration in Outlook. So if I go over here, I've already created a new appointment. And you'll see here at the top, let's plug in ShoreTel webinar. And then up here, you'll notice I've got an option for my call handling mode, so I can put myself in a meeting. That's typically the default on new systems. And I've also got the ability here, if you've got the ShoreTel conference appliance or virtual conference appliance, if I click on this ShoreTel conference and hit create, it will actually create a conference on my bridge. Oh, whoops. I guess I need to update the date. So let's make it good old July 4th. If I hit create, let's try that. And now it's actually, what it's done is created a conference for that time tomorrow on my bridge. And now this is a little different in the sense that I normally use what they call the reservation list option for my bridge, which is I always have the same access code. This has actually created a specific ID. This participant code is specific to this meeting. But you can see how easy that is, and you can tweak this stuff however you like. But very easy to create a conference and email it to other people. So those are the Outlook integration options we've got. And when I canceled out of that and I hit no, it actually removed the conference from the bridge. So it's not going to be there cluttering up my bridge. So with that, I am done with my piece. Do we have any questions? I didn't see any questions come through online while we were working through there. So Jeff, you want to
open up the lines just in case here? I haven't
Yes, sir.
seen any either. If anybody has any questions you'd like to ask them either via audio, go ahead and do so. Doesn't appear that we have any, so we'll go ahead and close the lines back down again, but we want to go ahead and thank you for your participation in our webinar. We hope that you found the information useful. And Matt, you have any closing remarks at all?
No, just appreciate your time. Look forward to doing the next webinar in 2 weeks, and I hope everybody has a great 4th of July weekend.
Yep, have a safe weekend. Thanks a lot, everybody.
Thank you.